great pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Seun Faluyi. He's the MD of Ocean Engineers Limited, and we're here today to talk to us, and also we have the opportunity to ask questions. He'll be speaking on the Nigerian local content, winning through business model and strategy. Mr. Faluyi.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you all. And I appreciate that you all taking our time to come and, well, they say it's a networking event for your class, but to also listen to somebody's speech, it's nice of you to take out your time. What the Faith Foundation people had told me, what Tony had said to talk about was, I felt it was something that I could talk about quite a bit. The Nigerian local content, winning through business model and strategy. I didn't have a chance to prepare slides. I didn't have a chance to prepare a speech, but what it is that she said is to just talk, and then maybe you can ask questions. I'm very glad to take your questions and talk about it. But before we start taking questions, I will talk about myself. In fact, should I say the 15 minutes or so that the time said to prepare my mind to be able to talk to such a distinguished audience of aspiring entrepreneurs. I thought that what I'll talk about is about myself. I'll say a little bit about myself, who I am, my company, how it is that I came in contact with faith or relationship with faith. I'll also talk about the subject, local content. She said that maybe this is something that many people would like to hear about. So I'll talk about local content. I'll talk about what local content is. I'll talk about how it is that well, I'll say who it is that can take advantage of local content is about, and then I'll say how it is that maybe you too can take advantage of local content, what it is that will work for you. Third thing that I will also talk about is about the other part of the topic, winning through business model and strategy. Business model and strategy is something that I'm also very pleased to talk about, because it's something that I've been doing for quite a while. So I will talk about business model and strategy. Specifically, I'll talk about business models, what they are. I'll talk about strategy, and then I'll also talk about entrepreneurship, because in that mix, there's something about entrepreneurs that, well, I'll tell you my own worldview and everything about entrepreneurship. Then we can then take your questions. This broadly is how it is that I said I'll talk about this. So I will just speak. I hope I will not bore you too much. I hope that you'll not start like agreeing to everything I say, whether you hear it or not. A little bit about Seun Faluyi. Seun Faluyi is a mechanical engineer. I studied mechanical engineering in the University of Lagos, Greater Accra. And after doing mechanical engineering as a BSc, I did an MBA in operations management, and also in marketing in Unilag. And then I also did an MSc in engineering. It was out of, I won't say it's idleness, out of intellectual curiosity that what will an MSc in engineering be? Can I still do? Is that I've been like working, it was my brain frazzled. Will I understand anything about Lagrangian concepts, about Fourier analysis? But the professors were very, shall I say, charitable, and then they said I could go at the first try. They didn't fail me, as a lot of the other classmates that did. So I did an MSc in engineering. Not that I felt I was like really like wanted to do engineering as a career. started out doing engineering, it is true, facilities management, but then I felt I wanted to do more than engineering because engineering I felt was kind of like restricted. I wanted to do business. And engineering business, I wasn't sure how it is that the two click, but you know how it is when you're young and you're looking at career prospects. It's what your classmates are saying they want to be, that you want to also be either a doctor or an engineer or whatever, and you're like, what are you going to do? I'm going to university, I'm going to study. And so you just kind of like get like carried along in the herd mentality. That's if your parents didn't choose your course for you. They say that, no, go to this university, this is where I want you to go. And so you kind of like get started off on a track that sometimes it's not the one you chose. But I had always been curious about technical things, so engineering was a good thing for me. But what I really wanted to do was more of business. So by the time it is that I practiced a little bit of engineering, I was now like, I needed to do more of business. I went into management consulting. I joined Accenture. Accenture is a global management consulting firm. And for me, it was like, let me just see what is it that is the best I can be. So I was working on my father's business prior to that. And then I was like, okay, let me try. Accenture is supposed to be like, biggest in the world kind of thing, top 5, they were there before, and the same crashed and made the top 4. And I was fortunate enough that I was called as well. So I joined Accenture, and having an engineering background, I joined what was called the resources group. I did business process re-engineering. It sounds like it's you can segue into that easily. And I started doing more of business consulting, business process re-engineering, studying businesses, how you can see them as a system, restructure them so that they're more successful, and then you can then see the money coming in, which was quite fulfilling for me. And from that, it just seemed kind of natural that I went into strategy. So you're not only like restructuring the business, you're also looking like ahead. Where should the business be going? And not only looking ahead at where the business should be going. A business is really supposed to be serving the customer. It's true, bottom line is there should be money, but then it's like to get money, you need to ask the customer to pay you, and then that's where your money is coming from. So I went into customer relationship management as well, and organizational development. So that was how I would say I kind of like stumbled my way through into business practice. And while I was in consulting, like everybody, when you're young, you keep growing up the ladders, and it's inevitable that you will progress. Sometimes when you're young, you feel like you want to be in a hurry, you want to be this, you want to be that. But in life, the older you grow, the more it is you will get to be asked to do other things. Combination of the experience you now have and the better thinking or analytical processes you have. So all of this kind of like it propels you. There's a groundswell that will take you. So at some point I got to be like senior, demonstrate that I really want to grow with the family, watch the kids grow. Then she was going to just stay back in Houston and then wouldn't come back to Nigeria. So I agonized and agonized, and I was like, so what am I going to do? Isn't this paying for travel, paying for all of this thing? Isn't this what you want? I was like, no, that's not what we want. I was like, though at that time, well, it was like, I should stay home. Now she's almost like, when are you traveling next? And you are doing so much stress. But at that time, I had to like look for what to do so that I would not be traveling so much. And so I switched jobs. I joined the Honeywell Group. We were starting a company on electrical power, an independent power plant. So I know a lot about electricity, and I'm glad nobody is holding me responsible for taking the light at this point. So I joined the Honeywell Group and started up the power business. But maybe 2 years down the line, my father-in-law said that his company, Petrolog, that had been approached by another company, an international company, that they'd been asked to start up a company that would do local content, engineering for the oil and gas. It was like, why don't you just start up this company and run it? And I was like, okay, it's a new challenge. It was more of engineering now. It was like drawing it back to engineering. But by that time as well, I'd done enough of, I'll say, management and actual operations to say that, okay, I would not mind going back to being an engineer, and that it would be fascinating after I'd done an MSc in engineering, so I had like a claim to some relevance there. And also, the consulting that I'd done, I'd consulted for oil and gas, for Shell, for NPC, etc. And I had relationships in the market, so it was something that I could parlay into business. So I was like, okay, let me start it up. It looked like it was going to be a challenge. It was totally greenfield. It was at first, I'll say, intimidating. You know, step out of like a regular 8 to 5 job, regular paychecks, to something that you're just starting. But I was like, okay, let's just start it. I was at that age where it's like, so what next? What should I do next? And we started it. The company, we call it Oceon Engineers. And now this was like, it's aspirational. By the time it is that I was starting the company, I had a background in strategy, I had a background on business operations, so customer relationship management. So it was now like, okay, I know all of these things, it's almost like it's theory. Can it work in real life? Can it work in practice? That a lot of the time, when it is a consultant, you're telling people this is what to do, this is how to do. And you have the luxury, when you're a consultant, the luxury to just give advice and walk away. What you do is you do projects, and the projects are like, they're termed. So there's a start date, there's an end date, and once you end, you can just drop your report and walk away. If the client uses it, you'll be like, oh, you see, I did great. If the client doesn't use it, you feel like, okay, this client doesn't really know or appreciate consultants. And if the client doesn't succeed, you can also feel like it's because the client is kind of daft, he's not as smart as me, consultant. If he had done it the way I said, he would have succeeded. And as a consultant, you can walk away from the damage, and then it won't be your own fault. So for me, moving from consulting to operatorship of a business was like, can it work? And one of the things as well, history is littered with the I'll say, carcasses of consultants who could not transition into operatorship. The mindset of a consultant is start and stop. And your project must stop, and that's the end. But when you're running a business, there's no stop. It's money. You just keep going until the money, and the money you just have to keep going every day, every month, every year. So it's a different paradigm. So for me to transition as well, it was something that I was saying curious, would I be able to do something out of it? With Global Ocean Engineers, what I tried to do, let me put this way, is like just lay a foundation. It was like, let me just start it up in a way that it is not going to founder in the way that it will be successful. The market, oil and gas, the Nigerian oil and gas, is one that is dominated by international companies. So the Shells of this world, the ExxonMobil, the Chevron, they're all international oil companies. And if you want to compete with people from outside Nigeria who've had years of experience, you're going to have like a work cut out for you. Well, what was it that we were supposed to do? Anytime an entrepreneur comes into a business, usually he just say, this is it, this is what we're doing. In reality, if you think through it, and this was from the background I had at Accenture, if you think through it, what you're doing can be different. The industry can be big, but it's not entirely homogeneous. There's usually something that you can say, this is what I'm going to do, and then this is where I will position myself. And that's what the strategy is about. So in looking at the whole gamut, it was like, so what is it that we're doing? After a while, I caught on that we're not doing exploration and production, which is what the Shells, the Chevrons, the Agives of this world too. We're providing services to those ones. So there's another layer below the EMP that is services. So it's not the IOCs. The market has changed, but the landscape has not changed. It's still the same foreigners who have a lot more experience. Our own services though, I also needed to define that what exactly was the service. In our service, there are a lot of services we can provide in the oil and gas industry. From exploration, we can provide just data management, people who just be looking at the reservoirs and then predicting how they will be exploited, and then drilling them and then producing them, etc. That's one level. But also, apart from that, you can also say you're the one providing the engineering or the facilities or constructing what it is those ones will use. So there's another layer below those services that you can say you're building something that they will use to service the oil companies. So it was now okay, we're getting more granular here. We're going to be providing something for other people, EPC in the market, engineering, procurement, and construction. In that EPC, we also narrowed that we will be providing the engineering. Now, this is something as well for a business that, and it's from the background and strategy. When you start a business, it can't be all things to all people. You need to focus. You need to say, this is what I'm going to do. If you try to be everything, you very, very soon dissipate your energy because you just cannot be everything to everybody. And you'll not be able to do any particular thing well. It may be something that you're stronger at doing, but that thing, if you don't exploit it and focus on it, you'll find that other people who may not be able to do it as well as you will just kind of blow you out of the water because you didn't concentrate on what it is that you really know how to do. So we needed to step back and say what we're going to do is engineering, and that engineering design, we will do it for those ones who will be doing the construction. So we made a choice. There are a lot of companies in Nigeria that will do the construction full gamut, but I chose that we will not do all of that. We will just do engineering design. Another reason why it is that that was a natural fit was that the local content law had provided what are in effect volume targets for specific things in the oil and gas industry. Engineering was one of them. When it first started, it was 100% engineering should be done in Nigeria. Yeah, they've lowered the bar now, it's now 80%, but there are all kinds of things that they say should be done in Nigeria by Nigerians. So there's engineering services, there's supplies, if you're doing food, for example, people who supply food, people who supply toiletries, stuff like that, things that can be done in Nigeria. The law says it must be provided in Nigeria by Nigerians. Before, those other companies will just import from Europe, from wherever, very fancy things, but they're made in Nigeria, they can be made in Nigeria. So the federal government now said that let Nigerians do it. So it shifted again what the landscape is, that it's not just international people, Nigerians are also expected to be a part of it. The engineering design that we said that we will be providing, we further stratified it. The oil and gas, there are 3 different geographies that you can do it. You can do it onshore, you can do it in the swamps, like in Niger Delta, and then you can do it offshore, that is just in the ocean. We chose to position ourselves offshore. Most of Nigerian exploration and production activities have been onshore and swamp. No, actually had been in swamp, Niger Delta. It's now coming, it then went offshore, and then it's now coming onshore some more. But a lot of experience that most companies have had in Nigeria that they provide as well is for swamp, and swamp, I mean shallow waters, is wading depth, etc. You'll find that the business is going to go into decline. It's going to wither and die. So it has taken some time, but this I would say was like a mission definition, was something that took about 6 months. It took a little longer to define a vision statement. We came up with a vision, maybe it must have been something like 18 months, 12 to 18 months. Well, first of all, something we want to do, and then after that, when I said this is what we'll do now, through an outcome that, okay, this is how well we'll do it, and that's the vision that we set, and that started driving our performance after that. So Global Ocean Engineers, just to say, has been working in oil and gas, engineering design, offshore, and we've been in that business. It will look like it's a very big market, but it's very narrow, and because it's oil and gas, it's very high margin, and because it's high margin, it means the competition is very stiff, so you need a lot of heart, a lot of liver to just stay. After like 2 years, I was almost like going to give up, but then it was some people just encouraged and said, just stick at it, that don't give up. Yeah.
All these things you say, money is involved. Because as we are now, for instance, we want to actually meet a place. We need a place and we need other things, and money is actually involved. In your case, okay, you actually had an in-law and you have, so maybe I believe money is not actually an issue. But for an entrepreneur, like, okay, I want to go into procurement, like you actually stated, things made in Nigeria is, and we all know that things made in Nigeria is very slim. The rest is imported. Talk about all these things they use, the pumps, the valves, even the pressure gauge transmitters, all those things are important. None of them are made in Nigeria. So how would a local person now manage to penetrate? Because it's very difficult to...
You're telling me. I know. When I had money, did it. My father just said to start the company. It's not like he had like limitless money. What he had was an opportunity. It was up to me to determine how it is that we are going to exploit this opportunity. Generally, when it is that you're starting up, you have like a little bit of like seed capital, maybe some savings, and I quickly burnt out everything that I had. In fact, it was when I said that I gave up. Before the end of the first year or so, it was not like I had like staff, and it was like, how am I going to be paying them, like monthly? End of the month, people who are employees be like, finally we'll get our salary. When you're the one that is the entrepreneur, it's like, I have to pay these people, that will I have enough? And what it is that I found, the jobs are coming in trickles. So it wasn't like it was big money. So there was opportunity, and this is something that everybody like paints a picture in Nigeria. There's massive opportunity. You can make money, and you see people making money, but it's you that is like, how am I going to make money? And the money that I have is never enough. Even if you're a big business, the money you have is never enough. Finance is about like allocation of capital, and there's always constraints to the capital. You may feel like you don't have money. Ask a big company, they will say they don't have money, because everybody wants to do more with the little that they have. What it is by the end of that first year, what it is that I now started doing was that I started thinking to myself that when I was consulting, one of the things that we have been teaching was something about the finance cycle, and is that use money that other people have to run your business. And how do you use other people's money? For an entrepreneur, the sources of capital that are available to you, there's family, there's your own equity, then there's family that is also equity, there is investors, maybe friends that can also be equity. Those ones, they don't pressure you to return your money. But there's also loan. Loan can be from like banks or people who will say that we are willing to lend you money and then there will be interest. And that, I was like, the international company that we were partnering with, they said, okay, they will provide some kind of a loan. So they provided like a loan for a while, and then after that they are now like, where's our money back? And I was like, okay, the business had not yet grown. What was I going to do? I then thought there's also another source of capital that not many people tap into. It's called trade finance. Trade finance is that the people who you are trading with, they can actually be a source of money for you. So, for example, if they give you credit, that's more or less saying that they are giving you cash and you can pay later the actual cash. So you get the value of whatever that money is, you get the value, goods, equipment, or whatever, but the actual payout is much later. And it's something that it's almost like some kind of like intelligence that you use to position how much credit can I get. The people who are almost like the certainty of returning that money in the future. It's also driven by how well you've been paying back before, or whatever promises you've made, if you have been meeting up with those promises. And it can also be a function of how big your business is. If your business is very big, and they can see, oh, there's cash flow, even if you don't bring money now, we feel like you will eventually get down to our own business. So I moved from like loan. Loan can be very, this is a personal view. I know finance people say to change that you can be taking loan, leveraging your business, but I had gotten very badly burnt by taking the loans. The pressure was just too intense about paying back. The jobs that I had, payments were not coming in fast enough, and the creditors were constantly haranguing and harassing me. And at one point, as a matter of fact, in the office we have like gate men. You can't come and see me unless I say you should come, because I didn't know who was coming. I didn't know whether it was a creditor or at one time I was like, there will be some people with policemen that will come and say that where's our money, and like, where will I run to? Where can I hide? So like, if you are coming to see me, you must have an appointment. So whether you have plenty of policemen, somebody will have told me in advance that somebody is coming up, and then I'll know whether to jump the wall if I don't have the money. But promises, how you keep your promises. So whatever it is that I would ask for, it will almost be like, just let me sell this, or let me do this. Once it is I've done it, when the money comes, I will pay you. And then it's if they believe you or not. If they don't believe you, no credit. But if they believe you, then they will give you credit. And I said, for the scale of the company, you know how it is, some companies, they'll take everything, 100% credit, and then they won't pay you until maybe 30 days later, 45 days later, 90 days later. And then it's when you're small, they use your money. But when you're big, you can push and then say that, let me use your money. But it just kind of clicked that those people, even though they are big, it's because of how they say it. That's why it is that they feel that they are big. So it was for me just constantly like talking. As an entrepreneur, your business is entirely you. This is something I found. In the final analysis, if it succeeds or it fails, it's really, you can have like employees, you can have staff, but in the end, if it is really going to thrive, it will be because you personally invested whatever it is that is required to make sure that you succeed. So I worked on like all parts of the business. The financing part was to talk to the suppliers, to talk to the creditors, and then just convince them to give us a breather that, look, I've got these jobs, they're going to pay this much. And I have been using credit to trade. It started small, but then when I saw that I could get away with it, that's what it is that I do. So I don't know what line of business it is that you're in, but if you have an order, You can meet a supplier and say, look, they need this thing. We are the one that makes it, but this contract, I'm the one that has it. Why don't you just give me whatever you have and let me supply to them? These are their payment terms. When the payment comes in, the money will go to you. I will not pocket it.
But like most of these orders are actually, you get it from foreign companies. For example, the company is telling you to provide them with firefighting materials. These materials are not sold in Nigeria. You go and import it, and no white man is willing to give a Nigerian anything without 100% of his money. Even they will tell you, if you are bringing it into this country in 4 weeks, pay us half the amount. Then, before we actually go and ship it to you, pay us our balance. Now you need your money to pay, and the person you're supplying it, will give you at least a month, 30 days.
One of the things that I encountered early on as well is all this almost like misses that it's not possible. And every time they say it's not possible,
Very possible.
in fact, what I do, I just dig in my heels and I don't have a choice. I cannot walk away from it. I cannot run. I will have to make it possible. Every time it says that they say it's not possible, it's almost like it's a trigger to say, okay, traditionally it is not possible. What will I do to make it possible? I'm telling you that this is what I faced. It was like, it's not possible. And when I was like, okay, they say it's not possible, what will I do? When I said I was iterating that it took 6 months, every time I would go out and they say, no, it's not possible, I will come back and then start thinking, what will I do? That's what made me see that, look, I'm not like an oil and gas company, even though people say, oh, it's oil and gas. I'm not an oil and gas company. And then after talking, I'm not an EPC company. I'm an engineering company. I'm not even just an engineering company. I'm an offshore engineering company. It was because it was like, it's not possible, it's not possible. I had to come back and think, and look, they say it is not possible. What will I do to make it possible? The money part as well, I said I almost like gave up. I had to think, what will I do to make it possible? At least not be because I didn't try, to be because you said I should not try. Not that I gave up. But every time people say it's not possible, I just have to like recalibrate. Okay, they say this is not possible. What will I do to make it possible? There is no one size fits all answer. Every situation has its own approach that will make it work. But what it is that I've found is that whenever everybody is saying it is not possible, usually some people who do not accept no, they are the ones that still go ahead, and then you start wondering, how did they make it possible? And because they're like few, they make a lot more money than others, and then the rest of us are trying to catch up and like, what did they do? How did they do? Where is it that they got all of this? We feel like, is it somebody they know, somebody they don't know? There's just so much that, one other thing that I found in oil and gas, they say it's not possible to make money without settling. It's not possible, right? Okay. For me, I felt that they say it's not possible, but I was going to try. Have I settled? I have not. We've been in operation like 6 years, going on 7 years. Have I settled? I have not. Have we failed? I would say I'm very flattered that Faith is saying that, well, it's not like they said I'm successful. They just said I'm number 3 on the Nigeria 50. So, I'm an entrepreneur, very much like you. It's just that I have moved up on the curve, and it's not that I have reached there yet. Where we want to be is going to be much, much bigger than this. But it's, whenever people say it's not possible, it's not possible. Even my staff, I had a number of employees who are like, in oil and gas, you can't be naive and say that you're not going to settle. I'm like, well, I'm not naive, I'm stubborn, that's what I am. When people say it's not possible, that's when I'm like, okay, what will I do to make it possible? The strategy for that one was that in oil and gas, generally Nigerians will ask you to drop something. I had been to the ministry, I've been to NMPC. I said I had relationship, but as an Accenture consultant, they don't expect you to settle. You're supposed to be like above board. So I didn't do any settling, and Accenture, because of its reputation and brand value, it was getting work. So for me, I was like, okay, I don't have that brand value. I can't get the kind of work. That maybe what I'll do is that I'll work with those ones who work with these people, because those ones many times they lack capacity. They get the job, they can't do it, and then they look for people who can do it, and that I will be that person that will do it. So the strategy that I've been doing was that I would support those ones who do the settling. I will not ask them about their morals, I will not say anything about their ethics. My own is that, do you need work done? You need work done, I will do it. And those ones, because they even want to grab everything for themselves anyway, they are not looking at settling any settling. They are just like, just do it for me and then we'll do it. So we've been working with EPC companies and doing their own work for them. But is it possible? Me too, I'll tell you, in oil and gas, they say it's not possible. I will not use myself and say I'm an example that this is what you should follow, because in the industry it is very, very difficult. But for me, I was like, I will not settle. This is just me, non-conscious, but I will not run away. And so I had to come up with my own strategy. If other people use that strategy and it's successful, it's one way, but then my staff still will have been 10 times much bigger than where we are if we have been settling. I'm like, okay, I hear. Anytime you start up your company, you can be settling, or anytime it is that I resign and then you become the MD, you can do that. But right now, just indulge me, let us do it professionally, and then let's see how far as Nigerians we can take this as
So excuse me,
you held your staff salary. If I was...
not that I held, is that
Saved money.
yes, saved in my cash flow.
Okay.
My cash flow. One of the things I always do is I kind of like do a forecast. I have all my obligations or commitments, those things that I've ordered. I have those things that I would like to order. I put them on like it's an Excel sheet, and then I have in there salaries. So I will make sure that it doesn't matter what it is that my bank balance is saying. There should be enough that as it's declining, that I still can pay staff salaries for 6 months. That's what it is that does.
All right, I misunderstood that.
It's one of the things that I do not scrounge on. I will make sure that if it's for the employees, I will do what is required to make sure that they are happy, and then the rest we can keep doing. But that's what it is that I'll say that the company has been like. That's what it is we've been doing. It's not like it's been a bed of roses. It's not like it's been easy. I said there are times when it is that I would like want to run. I would do like the early days, but now it's more of like a building awareness. One of the things that I am doing right now as well is that another strategy about the settling thing. People who settle again, this is a personal view, this is entirely personal. People who settle, what they're trying to do is they're trying to like buy favor. They're trying to like, and what that favor means is trying to get like a share of mind that they will use money to get. In the final analysis, it's the share of mind that you really want. It's just that for me to buy it is what it is that I said I will object to. But can I still get that share of mind? Bigger companies, how they get the share of mind is by publicity, by advertising. Once it is that it's totally in the face of the decision makers, it will always be like, if you want to do this thing, if you need this thing, call these people, because this will give your decision some kind of credibility that you consider those ones that are very good. Spending on publicity, spending on advertising is what it is that I now do. But I don't have all the money in the world. So what it is I do, I make it targeted. I know where my own customers are. It's not the entire oil and gas. It's not the entire EPC. It's those engineers that require projects in the offshore. So what I do, I go to where those engineers are. Any exhibition they're in, you will see my adverts. Any conference that they're going to do, you will see our name that we're sponsoring. Wherever it is that they meet and eat and drink, we have like little things placed. So you will not see Ocean all over. we will not come to the newspapers, but we'll go to where it is that those people are, so that anytime it is they're talking about, oh, where are those professional engineers? They're like, oh, we know this name. Yeah, you can call them. And then if we are not on the list, it's like, why are they not on the list? So whether we settle somebody or not, there's a pool, a demand that says that put these people on the list. And then after that, it is now up to how we price, how well we package, etc. But those ones who do the settling, what they were trying to do is get themselves on the list anyway, and then everybody has a fighting chance. So that is another strategy that I've done, is that get your face in front of the decision makers, and then that will help to at least give you some credibility, whether or not you have settled everybody. You may not even have enough money to settle everybody, and you may then say that that's why it is that you didn't go forward. But there will be some way that you say that for this particular problem, this is what I'll do. For this problem, this is what I'll do. I want to say a little bit about my relationship with faith as well. For Faith Foundation, I want to give back. I have like this view about not feeling so privileged and having this sense of entitlement that is me. How do I like help other people? While I was doing consulting at Accenture, Faith had started about then, and the Faith Foundation, those who have started in etc., asked Accenture to send volunteers who will be facilitators. So I volunteered at that time. That was a good idea. So since then, since way back, I've been like volunteering, and must have been, I think last year or so, one of the coordinators had asked me to apply for Nigeria 50. And Nigeria 50 at that time, I didn't know what it was. And all I knew was that when I would come to a class of aspiring entrepreneurs, and I'm challenged that they're just talking theory, that all this strategy doesn't work in real life. We're talking about real life here, not strategy. And I'll be like, well, I hear you, but I don't agree with you, because I'm an entrepreneur, and there's all this theory that I've been applying, and I have been able to build a business. It's not spectacularly successful yet, but at least it has grown. And the coordinator at that time said, so why don't you just apply for this Nigeria 50? They're evaluating those ones who are entrepreneurs in Nigeria, and saying, well, I didn't know what it was, so just said to apply. I was like, I hear you, and dismissed it. I didn't think about it. But then I think I was in different at that time. I was very persistent, and was like, apply now. I was like, okay, I've heard, but I'm very busy. I'm trying to build a business. I'm not doing theory here. And when the thing was about to close, he now said, oh, it's only just a couple of days more to apply. So I was like, okay, out of curiosity again, and let me just fill the form. I said, submit your financials. I submitted the financials. I didn't have anything to hide. One of the things that I had set as a core value was about integrity and probity. So I didn't feel like I wanted to hide my financials. I wasn't seeing what was actually happening. I just submitted it. And then I was quite pleasantly surprised when I was called from